In this lesson, Lang Chen and I are going to help demonstrate the importance of preparation. Now, we're going to be focusing on what I'm going to call the long preparation, and that is referring to all the actions you apply from the start to the end of getting a touch or being hit. Now, what this means is it is a long, drawn-out affair. Generally speaking, when we're learning an action, we're just learning the execution of that action. So if we're learning how to lunge, doing a direct attack, that's all we focus on. But the preparation is what you put in to prepare for that action. It's how you make it materialize and become effective. So when we are doing this demonstration, you're going to see a lot of movement, perhaps a little bit more than what we're generally accustomed to in these lessons, but I'm going to be explaining what's happening while we're moving. So again, the long preparation is everything from the start to the end. Alright, so just before we get started, you're seeing that we're starting at our own guard line, so we're going to treat this kind of like a bow. It's going to be a lot of movement. So, Lang Chen is going to want to try and finish hitting me with a direct attack. And that means he's not just going to come run at me and lunge, he's going to build on that. So he has to create a situation in which he can find a way of making that attack land. So we're going to stand on guard. And we're going to be moving around. He's going to be probing, trying to elicit a response from me, so we're moving in. He wants to do a direct attack, but he can't immediately hit me, so he's pressing the distance, he's stepping back. I start pushing him, so he knows he can't hit me. He's stepping back, he's opening. And what you're seeing is he's doing these invitations. He's extending his arms in small preparations to try and create a response. And right now we're just moving around. There's a lot of work. I'm pushing. I start my own attack. He steps away. And what he's trying to do is find that right time to set up his direct attack. So he starts to press, he's pushing in, I start stepping against him, I'm pushing him back, and if I step in, my preparation is wrong, and this is all because he's doing these false advances and retreats. I step in and he just lunges, and there's the attack. So that's a very slow scripted example of a long preparation. What we're going to do now is look at something a little bit more organic. And that's where he's going to be pressing the attack. He's going to try and do an opposition hit, 6 against me, and that means he needs to provoke an attack out of me. He can't just do this action on a whim, it needs to be set up. So again, we're going to return to our own guard line. Masks on. We're going to be stepping in, so we're moving in. Lang Chen's already decided the actions he wants, so he needs to be provocative, he needs to invite. I'm going to push the attack. He steps back, so he separates. There's a lot of movement forward and back. And again, he's setting up. He knows what action he wants. He's reading his opponent carefully. And so when I take the bait, he's going to do his opposition. He's waiting. He's just looking for that situation. He'll build whatever he can to make my attack happen. So when I lunge, there's the opposition. And there's not much I can do. So even though the action that we're looking at is pretty simple, whether it's a direct attack or an opposition hit, the effort, the work put into making that touch occur is very important. So what we're going to do for the second part of this is explain what some of those preparations are. So now that we've had a look at a long preparation of the specific action we're trying to make work, let's have a look at what those small preparations within that long preparation are and what their purpose is. So you saw both of us moving in and out. This is kind of trying to set up a distance trap. So again, if Lang Chen stands on guard, and we're just moving around, those steps in are meant to be an invitation. It's meant to be a distance trap. If I step in, I'm pretty close, I want to elicit a response. So that's the first thing we're looking at in that long preparation, is the step in. I'm trying to create an opportunity. I want to elicit a response, and that's one way I'm trying. The other one that you're seeing, and Lang Chen did it a lot, is if he puts his mask back on, we'll put mine on, is that we're seeing preparations in the extension. So if he comes forward just a little bit more, you see the extension from the arm. And this is also a preparation. You can do a direct attack from this preparation, but if the distance and the response from your opponent are not right, you're not going to want to do that. So all of this is meant to build a pattern so that you can better control the situation. So you're setting up your distance trap, you're stepping in, you're seeing if they're going to respond to it. If they're not, you continue to keep it up. You start the same thing with your extension. You let your hand extend a little bit. You're trying to provoke a response. You're seeing what your opponent will do. And then there's another thing that you saw, and that was the constant play with distance again, not just stepping forward, but stepping back. So if we put on our masks again, you saw a fair bit of movement where we go forward and then we just open the distance. We go forward and then we just open the distance. So the application here is that we are creating breathing space. We're allowing a big separation between ourselves and our opponent so that we can better evaluate what's working and what's not. Also gives us a little respite as we're building up our final action. Gives you time to reflect on what's working, what's not. So all of these actions combined creates your long preparation. You're eliciting responses, you're trying your own small attacks, you're creating new targets for your opponent to try and explore, and you're separating, thinking about what's working and what's not. So all of this effort builds up to that one action that you're trying to make happen. So again, it's very different than what we generally think about, where we're just training the action. We want to attack, so we attack. We want to parry, so we parry. We want to counterattack, so we counterattack. The long preparation, all the actions, all the patterns, all the exploring that you do from the very beginning to the end outcome of that action. So you have to create patterns to break them. You want to exploit weaknesses that your opponent has. You want to explore potential traps that they're setting. And all of that leads to your chance of making your action work. And this is where it's very important. The epeeist must be patient. Even when you see explosive actions, very energetic, there's still a lot of preparation in there. You're not just running at your opponent, you're setting it up. So the long preparation is invaluable. It is all that work for that one touch, and you have to do that for all of your touches.